So here we have the ready meal question. It's the label for the ready meal. Once you've put your question onto your drawing board, just double check that it's in line so that you know your lines. You can use any of your horizontals, just check they're in line. And it says here, the front of the package for a ready meal is shown below. So you've got these shapes arranged. Complete a full-size view of the front of the ready meal package in the space provided to the right by drawing the outline, so this is this outline shape, the circle, the hexagon, the isosceles triangles, so you've got 2, and the missing letters. So you've got your missing letters here. They've given you the centre. In this case, it looks like the centre is the centre for the whole shape. And they've given you one triangle, which makes it quite easy to mirror that across the other side. And you've got a centre line here, so that makes it easier as well. So if you're not sure how to do the outline, you don't need to necessarily do it in that order. Start with what's easiest first. So the circle would be easiest, and it says the circle is a diameter of 120. So the radius would be 60, so setting your compass to 60. And you can always double check it because you can see that the circle does touch that triangle, so just double check when you start that you've got it in the right place. Because the circle does touch the bottom of the isosceles triangle. Drawing that in. So, circle done. Looking at the next easiest shape would be this hexagon. It says the hexagon is a regular hexagon. It's 100 across corners. So it's 100 across corners, so from corner to corner. So if you're using the circle method, that would be equivalent to your diameter. So it says 100, so the radius of that one would be 50. So drawing that in and checking that it's in the right place. And it does. And you can see that it's very obvious there's a centre line across here which goes through those points there. So you can do your first mark on the centre line, the horizontal centre line, and then marking around the circle and double checking. You come back to the horizontal and then moving the other way around and double checking. You come back to the horizontal, then joining these up. So taking the hexagon. So next, I'd leave the lettering to last because it can take quite as long as you'll give it. So probably the next easiest would be the isosceles triangle. So we know you can either measure the distance. We know you've got a vertical here. So you can there's two ways to do this. You can measure the distance or you can just use the fact it's the same. So that's your vertical. So you've got your vertical here and your vertical here. You know it's the same size on either side, so you can either measure from there and then measure from the centre, or easier is just to use your horizontal and just mark it because you know it's the same on both sides. So you've got that distance there. What you do need to know is your distance along the horizontal. So that's 33. So making sure you're precise. And then drawing that in. From there, we're on to the outside shape. So it's about analysing this shape. You're given, so this is your centre line, so you know it's mirrored on either side. So you know this distance here, so that's what you start with. You start with what you're given. So we're going to extend that out and then check your measurement. So that measurement there is 56, so measure the same out. And then you know that this extends out. You know the full length is 200. So you know this is going to extend out because it comes further out from here. So you know this full length is 200. So you can measure, you know it's going to be the same on either side. So you could measure 100 along here and 100 from here. And draw those verticals in lightly because you know that's in the right place. So it's just working with the information you're given and solving the problem of how to construct this shape. And there are different ways. So from here, you know that this line is going to extend up. And you can see, looking at the original, it's actually 45 degrees. So using your 45-degree set square, you can extend that up there, and you can do the same on the other side. And you can, whatever this distance here, it's going to be the same above. So that is 68 millimeters, so extending that above there to 68, you know that's your horizontal, and you know that it finishes there, so you could either measure that, we know it's 56, but actually a quicker way would be to just use that distance there. You can either draw a line up or just copy it across, so that's going to be the same on the top. And you know from there it's going to be 45 degrees to the vertical. So that's your outside shape. The outline done. So the lettering for the ready meal, the quickest way to start that is to draw your horizontals in. So you know how big they have to be. Then measuring, trying to measure, it is slightly different. It looks like it's 2 millimeters and it's about 1 millimeter in between. So the D you haven't got one you can look at, but the A you can directly. So you can actually see that the A is about 11 millimeters. So you've got to fit 11 millimeters into here. So it's the gap is a little bit bigger. So I'm going to leave about a bit more. It's about 15. So it's a little bit bigger gap on either side, but it's about, the mark scheme says that you have to have both letters correct in proportion and size. So they don't have to be absolutely perfect, but you're doing your best to get them the same. So the A, you can see that distance is there. And the D, have a look at your spacing. If you draw the vertical up, it's a bit bigger, but you've got, between 1 and 2 millimeters. I think 2 would be too much, so I'm going to do about 1 gap here. So I'm going to draw my vertical up. That's the space I have for my letters. So I've created that space. The letters, no, that was vertical. Just going to move that along. The letters are about 2 millimeters, so the D, mark your D there, marking it in from the side so I know how thick it should be to give myself guidance. So I'm going to draw that horizontally and lightly there, and the vertical in. So now I can go over it a little bit darker so you can see more clearly. So I've got that, and then the D goes straight and then it curves round. So I'm going to use part of the straight here and part of the straight here because I've got that there. And then it curves round. And you know it's going to be at the centre here. Curves round to the centre. And curves round from there to the centre. So keep it quite light when you start. And as long as it's the same thickness, it's going to work. The A is a little bit tricky in that you have to have, it's going to be 2 millimeters up there. Two millimeters up there. You can see from here, compared to the E, the A is a bit lower down. So it's going to be lower down. It's going to be about here. So I'm going to do my little horizontal in there. And you know that there's going to be a centre here. So that's about there. But it's going to go either side of that centre because you've got the thickness of the letter. So I'm going to go a little bit over to that side. Draw that in, a little bit over to that side, draw that in, and then as long as you're keeping it parallel, or you can measure it if you're not sure. Just going to there, but I can measure this to and then keeping this parallel, it's where they cross will be the top of the A.